and do this stuff, or you're just like, you know what, you woke up one day and say, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. But I know the views on your videos are obviously your channel is very new, but I know the views on your videos I see are like very low, right? But I know you started this Discord, and and I know you've been interacting with people very well, and I know you hopped into the trenches, trench grenades Discord as well. Do you feel like your engagement with your audience has been relatively positive, and a quality, like say, connection with people, or has it been mostly like, man, a lot of these people are just here for the shits and giggles? Or do you feel like there's authenticity and there's like a good quality interaction? Because like a lot of views doesn't mean that you have a good community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I'll try to take all the haterism out of it. I think that I started this channel. I started this channel initially because I was working with individuals in my actual real life, and we had limited amount of time together because we are adults with jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like, instead of me spending all of our time blabbering, I can just blab on YouTube, share that video link to you guys, and y'all can watch it whenever you have time. And then when we get together, we can ask questions and just, run with it from there. And then I was like, if other people find this helpful or whatever, awesome. Love that too. And then some people started finding it helpful, and I started making kind of videos still with that same mindset, but more for the internet, less with, I started making videos at such a volume I didn't expect people in my community to watch every single one, but it was the same mindset of like the way I try to make each video is, if something happened and I had to take a group of dudes out on patrol, and I was like, all right, sit down, dudes, this is what we're about to do, and I'm just going to explain it to you the best I can in 30 minutes so you have some idea what's happening without being like a bunch of military jargon, and we'll roll from there. Keep it short, keep it simple, keep it the general overview, and demilitarize it as much as I can. And so that's my goal when I make all the videos. I see a bunch of people talking about gear and stuff, hardly anybody talking about tactics. So that's why I'm trying to do the tactics thing. I've always loved tactics. I was pretty quick in leadership positions in the Marine Corps, and I really enjoyed both when we would literally do this stuff and when we would do training and real life. I really enjoyed the thinking aspect of warfare. So making videos on that comes natural to me. And I also am at a war against shills. I see everybody all over the internet being like, subscribe, join my Patreon, become a member, drop a super chat, pay to be in my Discord, join my OnlyFans. Like, how else can I suck money from you? Here's stickers, here's hats, here's coffee mugs. And so I don't want to do that at all. I kind of, have talked a little bit earlier. If I ever do make money from this, it's going to be because I produce a product or a service and people can find out about it through my videos, but I'm still not going to turn into 5 minutes of every video. I'm like, and I have training manuals. Look at these series. Please buy my training manual. Like, I'm never going to be that guy. I'm here because I feel like if you do that, because I've been a YouTube viewer, right? I've been a Gunslop viewer for so long. So I know, or at least how I feel. So I feel like that's probably how most people feel. As soon as I catch any whiff of that, I'm just like, everything you say is compromised. I might still listen to you, but it's going to be really hard to convince me that you're not just trying to sell me something with a false opinion. And then because I have, not that I'm like super badass or whatever, I have enough of a professional backing that I have seen people do that enough. It suggests things that I know are fucked up, that I'm like, cool. Now people are doing that on a level that I'm not even able to identify it. So I have to, be super, litmus test everything I let myself start to think based off the information I'm learning. So I don't want to be that guy at all. And that also keeps me pure, right? If I'm not trying to sell you a bunch of products or whatever, then there's no way that without even me realizing I can start to like, oh, I have to sell this scope. So how can I use this scope? Well, I can use a scope this way. That's actually a really good idea. And then here I am like making a whole video that I think is legit, but the only reason I'm doing it is because I have this product I need to do a video about. Like, that's never going to be me at all, ever. I don't really care about being rich and stuff. Money's great. More money is always more better, but I don't need a Ferrari. It's all good.
will say this though, and I have no idea who these guys are that are also listening in right now to the exchange between you and me, but I can almost guarantee with 100% certainty, I can honestly give my left nut in a bet for this, that if I were to say, we understand that things are expensive. We understand the situations economically. I know Trench, the minimum is like $5 to get into the Discord, and I'm actively paying for it. But I mean, I don't think people would mind actually supporting a viewer financially, so that way, it's like, hey, we know it's not your source of income, but we do understand that things are expensive and everything costs something, right?
Sure.
I mean, time, if you put a dollar amount to your time, I mean, you might, you're making cool videos or whatever, but like if you put a dollar, thinking accountant wise, if you put a dollar amount to your time, you're like, fuck, I'm spending a lot of money, right?
No, I understand, man. I understand. I got you. I went down all the, learn the economy, get rich from the internet, side hustle, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I just, I guess at the risk of sounding self-righteous, I am at a cause higher than that. I would be happy if I ended up homeless, but knew that I started changed the direction of the industry or helped 100 or 1,000 people or whatever actually prepare their own communities, which in turn is like 100,000 people now are in a better situation. That's a way bigger deal than my bank account being big or small or medium sized or whatever.
And I understand that, and I respect that. But like I said, like if anybody, if you were to ever ask, like, hey man, this is gonna be expensive. All right, cool. I'll help you out or whatever. I'm still paying $5 or whatever, how much it is. I don't know. I just know money's coming out of my account.
Sure.
For Trench, I'm like, I think Trench is needed. I think most of you guys, content creators, are needed. But I'm still paying $5 a month for fucking Trench so he can shit on Grantham. And I'm just like, homie, stop. Please.
Yeah, man.
For the love of fucking Christ. I'm like, he's still goated. I know his personal situation, Focus Clip went over that shit. And I'm just like, I get it. I'm like, I know you have a problem with his moral decisions, but you also, if it was immoral or whatever, but you also don't know the details. And honestly, like, a lot of people just want to learn, look at cool gear, and just want to be entertained. So drop it, let it go.
Yeah, I'm not huge on the drama. Like a lot of things I don't want to take a huge stance on, but I'll touch on it. It's all good. Fuck it. YOLO. Okay. All 10 people that are in the live. Here's comes some spice. Yeah, I think like it's a little cringe that Grantham was like, I'm a Christian, I'm going to give you all dad advice. And basically what he was doing is generating sales off being an idol that he knew was lacking in society. But unfortunately that was continuous. Like I'm not a saint. I'm not even a self-proclaimed Christian or whatever. I'm rather esoteric and philosophical and kind of beat to my own drum. But being, anybody that's been anywhere like in the infantry or I'm sure in the police department or whatever, I already could have guessed that he's doing that kind of stuff because all those types of dudes normally do, or a large enough percentage that I'm definitely not shocked. And nor do I, exactly like you said, I don't care. I don't watch Grantham because think I'm going to church. I watch Grantham because I'm trying to learn, some aspect of tactical information. I really don't care who or how often he's copulating with. It makes no difference to me. And
exactly same thing.
Yeah, and then Trench definitely was on a better path in the beginning. He muted me, so I haven't been able to comment on his channel for like a year now. I don't know exactly what it was. I gave him some advice about what I thought he should do with his YouTube, and then some other advice I can't even remember, and he got pretty upset about it. And then I noticed I couldn't comment, or my comments weren't readable on his channel any longer to other people. I started making, one of the big reasons I started making this YouTube was, and part of one of the things that I was saying to him was, he's just regurgitating the training manual. So he's reading a training manual and he's basically saying almost verbatim word for word those words and writing it up on a whiteboard, which is helpful. Putting he's basically making audio books with visual aid, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. my suggestion was like, hey, as a guy who was in the military for a long time and learned all that, and then now has been a civilian for a long time, guess what, big dog? We don't have belt-fed machine guns. We don't have Bradleys. We don't have frag grenades. So, like, though there's nothing wrong with you sharing this information, perhaps you should also make videos, or the second half of your video could be more tailored to, or ideas how you could replace certain things. And he wasn't having it, right? At the risk of being kind of an asshole, maybe it's because he can't do that. Maybe all he knows is what he knows, and that's what he's saying, which is fair. I mean, you know, you only know what you know.
Yeah.
So anyways, I had the inclination to make these kind of videos for a while, and then I saw that he was making them, and I literally thought to myself, like, great, maybe I don't have to make a YouTube, because he's going to just go over all the tactical basics and battle drills, and that's good enough, and we're good. But then he started being like he's just like a drill instructor, which anybody that's been in the military, you already know. He drank the Kool-Aid. He loves it. He fucking makes sure his uniform looks so great. He's read that training manual front to back. He's got his naughty and his nice list. He's checked it twice. Which, you know, some people love that. I was never that guy, right? I joined the Marine Corps because I wanted to go fight. I never was into uniforms or field day inspections or any of that shit. I was always a bad garrison Marine, but a good field Marine. So yeah, our drill instructor types have always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So it's no surprise that me and him don't get along also.
Yeah, but I will say the video that you made, man, I forgot what it was. You were saying it was like, instead of since civilians can't get a belt fed, I forgot what else.
Yeah, I think a more precision system is what is going to actually replace a lack of volume of fire, because even an auto rifle that's not even actually an auto rifle is going to have very limited volume of fire. Perhaps for a short duration of time, it can spit volume, but what you're actually going to need to do is replace that volume with an increased accuracy. Without regurgitating the whole video, yeah, that's pretty much the concept. Yeah,
and I will say that, see, that right there, that, like, say, majority of your audience is civilian.
For sure, like, absolutely.
Yeah, so that, to me, when I saw that, I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. I've been taking shotgun courses and whatever, and I've been pretty disappointed because I feel like it's regurgitated old 1970s police training trash that is not applicable, and I feel like a lot of the information as it pertains to the like the buckshot and projectiles and hit probability, I think a lot of that's bullshit, but I don't want to go down that road. We're more concerning about like content creation or whatever, but that content right there, to me, that's fucking gold. And that's something that you have done that nobody else has done. And like, say, like, hey guys, you're a civilian, this pertains to you, and here's tactics, and then here's how you can substitute some stuff for the civilian. And that, again, just straight gold content right there. So I really appreciate that one.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the love, brother. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I'm glad that turns out I'm not retarded, and this stuff does seem useful to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. Anybody got anything else they'd like to say before we get started? Going once, going twice. All right, who wants to play? Well, let me actually go ahead and go over the situation. I don't know how well you can read it up here, but I can't at all. Wonderful, love it. All right, situation at large is it's been 7 days since there was a combined cyber attack on America. We lost all power, all cell networks, and all ability to refine or distribute fuel. There have been reports over the radio of organized, armed, and aggressive groups. People have been claiming wild things, and it's not CNN or, it's just random people on the radio waves saying stuff. So who knows how it is, but people are saying it's Chinese sleeper cells. People are saying it's cartel gangs. People are saying it's just a bunch of hood rats. Who knows what it is, but definitely, which we could have already figured, there are armed group of men going around exploiting the situation. The situation local to us, we were expecting a FEMA truck to arrive with a bunch of supplies, dry good foods, water purification materials, and prescription medication. And our community is running low, not on everything, but some things. Some individuals in our community, especially that need that medication, are going to start to suffer and possibly even not survive if we don't secure that rapidly. The vehicle was supposed to arrive late last afternoon, and we lost radio contact with it about 1,500 yards from our position. And, it never showed up. So here it is, the morning time. And you walked around your neighborhood. I'll orient ourselves on the map here in a second. We walked around the neighborhood, and you've gathered up 15 men total that are fit, equipped, and willing to work or fight. They have 5 AR-15s, 3 SPRs, 3 AKs, 1 FAL, 1 bolt action 308, and 2 pump action 12 gauges. It's 15 men total, including yourself with one of those ARs. So down here, right north up top, as always. So to the southwest, we have this neighborhood. These two, the purple is roads. So these 2 boxes indicate the like rural subdivisions, if you will, that we're existing in. And then there's one large road that traverses us into our town, and that intersects with a major highway here. We lost contact with the truck somewhere in that vicinity before it entered the intersection to turn down our way. This is a river. Obviously, the more and the darker green, the more intense the vegetation. Where it's sporadic, there's hardly any vegetation. Here in the light green, there is like some shrubbery and stuff you could possibly get cover or concealment behind, but for the most part, it's pretty open high grass. The darker areas are heavy forest, and the brown elevation marks are just low sloping hills. Any questions? Who would like to go?
Can you repeat the weapons composition of the team?
Yep, absolutely. It's 5 AR-15s, 3 SPR style AR-15s, AK-47s, 1 FAL, 1 bolt action 308, 2 pump action 12 gauges.
Yep. Okay, gotcha.
Do I have a volunteer as Tribune?
Yeah, I'll do it, man.
Who's that?
It's High
Bar
or Perry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I always volunteer, so I'm definitely good with letting someone else take the lead.
Yeah, you go for it, High Bar.
Yeah, same.
All right, cool.
All right, so you understand the situation in the map?
Yes, sir.
All right, so basically it's all on you. So to start with, we got to figure out, how do you want to organize these 15 individuals, including yourself, and what is it that you want to do with them? There's, no specific direction. This is totally on you.
Okay. I'll probably do four teams of 4. We have 15, so maybe like an odd team of 3.
Okay.
So like 3 teams of 4 and an odd team of 3.
All right. Do you want those in any specific weapons configuration, or just however they get in?
So I'll have the AR guys like distributed in all the teams.
Okay.
In the 3 fire teams.
Yep.
I'm just putting this down on the paper as well. In the 3 fire teams, I'll put the 3 SPRs in each of them as well.
Okay.
Yep. And on the 4th team, I'll put an FAL guy.
Okay.
And I'll distribute Actually, I'll put the bolt action guy on the 4th team as well.
Okay.
So on the 2 teams with the AR and on the 3 teams, 2 teams with the SPR and the AR guy, I'll put a shotgunner in each team.
There's two shotguns, 3 SPRs.
Oh, yeah. Yep, okay, cool. Yep, that makes sense. So the AK guys, I'll distribute them equally as well in the team with the SPR, shotgunners, and ARs. So put the AK guys in each of them as well. So we have 3 teams with an AR guy, an AK guy, an SPR guy, and a shotgunner.
There's 2 shotguns.
There's only 2 shotguns.
Oh, okay.
So you're
If
gonna
that's the case,
instead of that third shotgun, what you have is a fifth AR that you haven't placed anywhere. I'm assuming you're gonna do that.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I'll do that.
you have 3 4-man fire teams. Each of them have an AR, an SPR, and an AK, and then one of them has an additional AR. 2 of them have a 12 gauge, and then you have another team with an AR, an FAL, and a bolt action. And which of these teams are you in?
I'm gonna be in the team with the FAL and bolt action.
Got it. Cool. All right, so you've got your 4 fire teams. What is it that we're doing?
All right, we've lost contact with the was it FEMA trucks? Yeah,
Correct.
on the north side of the highway. I'm gonna send a leaders recon out to investigate the situation. How I'll do that is I'll send them north east to the hill on the north side.
Northeast to the hill on the what side?
On the northeast side, so like the one that's closest. No, on the way other side near the highway.
Oh, okay, I got you. You're gonna send them all the way up here?
Closer to the intersection. So like, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'll have them set up an OP. Presumably, we also have some form of radio contact with the base.
Correct.
So set up an OP, and conduct a salute report, see what's been going on, all that.
Sure. So while you're there, I'm just swapping the colors out. While you're there, you get there and you see 3 FEMA trucks pulled off to the side of the road. 2 of them have the backs opened up. And there's some stuff pulled out, a bit of a mess, but it looks like the vast majority, 90% of the cargo is probably still inside, based on what you can see, right? It looks like someone kind of opened them up and tore into a couple pallets, but then left, I guess. I don't know. That's what you see.
Okay. Yep. So I'll continue to watch the situation, but I'll send an additional fire team. I'll leave the 2 other fire teams at the base, but I'll send an additional fire team to to go on like the hill on the south side, like right opposite of mine, and to also watch that intersection.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. They've arrived.
And I'll
Nothing's changed.
I'll just keep watching.
Just keep watching. Okay, you continue to watch, and night befalls upon you, and you have one of your guys has NVGs, and another one of your dudes has thermals here on your leader's recon, and you see a small 3, maybe 4-man element start to approach and probe one of the rear trucks. They all have slung rifles, but due to nighttime, it's hard to tell much else about them.
Okay. Yeah. I'll move a little bit more north with my recon element, so on the crest of the hill. So like, on the side of the hill, or not on top of it, but like on the side of it, like the military crest. Get a little bit closer, and see what they're up to.
Okay, you see them. They each, spin. They take about 15 minutes to each gather up as many supplies as they can put in their packs and put in their hands and such, and then they walk off north.
All right. Did I follow them or?
I don't know.
Really?
Do you? Is that what you would want to do?
No, actually, I'll stay put.
Okay.
I'll stay put. Yeah.
You stay put. It's morning time. It's morning time, and then you see what looks like possibly you see some movement over here on this mountain. You get a report from this fire team. They say that they look not ragtag. They look like they're wearing matching camouflage uniforms, and just by their movements and stuff, it looks like they're pretty squared away. They think it might be a 4 or 5 man. I only ever saw 2 guys at once. And they were doing a pretty good job of keeping themselves concealed. They only popped out and were visible for about 45 seconds, and then they disappeared all in that same region.
All right. Okay. Okay.
You get a radio call. You get a radio call from base that a 12-year-old who's diabetic has gone into whatever. What do they do? Anaphylactic shock or some shit like that, right? He's having diabetes problems because he doesn't have any insulin. Big trouble is coming.
All right. Okay. I'll have the fire team on the south side on the hill to cover. And I'll send my own fire team. So we'll move up, check out the other side of the hill, while I also will call an extra fire team up to replace the spot where I'm at.
Okay, that's a big movement. So you hold there, you wait another 2 hours for them to arrive. They show up. Now what do you do?
All right, I'll head south with my fire team. And yeah, just instead of going for the trucks, I'll go straight for the opposite hill to investigate that.
Okay, so you're going to just beeline straight for where this red dot is? Last reported enemy sighting?
Yeah.
All right. You get to this danger area. You have a 3-man element. How do you deal with that?
Cross that danger area. So
How?
2 guy covers. The other guy crosses. He covers. Yeah, and then so just leapfrog across it.
Leapfrog one at a time?
Yeah.
Okay. One guy runs across. He sets in his position. Second guy goes to run across. And immediately you take heavy contact from that last seen enemy position. A little bit more up the hill, but same general area. Open it up under at least 1 gun that's automatic and multiple other rifles.
All right, we'll break contact because the other 2 elements are already on the hill. They're going to just lay it on them because the other elements also have SPRs, right? So they can suppress accurately from a distance.
Sure.
So we'll have them just lay it on them because if the enemy's shooting at me, then they've revealed their position as well. So I'll get the Overwatch elements to just lay it on them.
Okay. Overwatches open up. You begin to retreat. You take 1 casualty when the two men attempt to cross back over that danger area to return the way they came. One of them does catch a round, and they lay down expected fatal KIA there in the road. The other 2 manage to get back and reach the reverse crest of the hill. This position has now shifted, and they're maintaining pretty serious fires on us. They're using an automatic weapon to suppress 1 location and multiple rifles to suppress the other location. We still can't. We're seeing like muzzle flashes. We don't have like super great PID on them, and they don't have super great PID on our guys in their fixed positions either. But there is an exchange of bullets going on.
All right. I'll have everyone break contact. So the blue team on the south side, I'll have them fall back a little bit more on the hill where they cover that bend of the road. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The other 2 teams on the north, I'll get them to fall back on the hill on the, I guess, further west. Yeah. And I'll have them also watch that bend of the road. Because they're on a hill, like, I don't have to worry about fracture side and stuff.
For sure. If you have downward angles of fire, absolutely. Okay. You set up shop there. You wait. An hour goes by. Nothing happens. Do you make any changes?
Maybe I'll get my own fire team. Actually, no, that's not wise. I'll get the 4th fire team. So that's still in the base. I'll get them to, maybe go through our supplies, see if the kid has who has diabetes, if we have any additional supplies and whatnot. See what we got, see what we can, because sometimes when people have diabetes or their blood sugars drop, you could just, some candy would just do in terms of helping them. So maybe go through our supplies, see what we've got, and try to remedy that with what we've got.
Okay. You give them that command, they say roger that, and they begin to do that. Another 30 minutes passes, and you see coming down the road a small 3-man fire team. They're actually skirting off to the side of the road, but you can see them. You can see brush moving, and every now and again they'll pop out into the open, skirting along the side of that road. Looks like the same dudes, same camouflage, all that business.
All right. If they're just skirting on the road, and we have elevated positions on both sides, I'm just gonna lay it on them. So I'll order all of my guys to just put the heat on.
Okay. You put the heat on good. And I'll give you one. I'll say you completely eliminate him. You drop all 3. You have multiple SPRs in the fight and precision weapons, and you get the drop on them. You have elevated positions. You completely eliminate all 3. KIA. You get a report back over the radio that they were able to delay that kid's serious problems, but another person from the community is having insert medical condition, and it's an emergency. They need medication.
All right, shoot. All right. In that case, I'll move the teams from where they're at now. I'll move them into their former positions that we had on the day before. So yeah, that guy goes there. North team goes on that same hill, and they're going to cover. So the bigger fire team is going to cover that intersection, that road as well. I'm going to move my smaller fire team instead of straight towards that danger area. I'm going to push them further north, just looping their way down to the convoy. Yeah.
Okay. You show up, you get in the first Vic, and you find that it has medical supplies, and you begin to tear into that crate and identify what you need. Anything else that you have to say that you want to do?
All right. The fire team that's on the hill on the north side, I'll move them down to join with my my team as well to provide immediate cover.
Okay.
Because 3 guys tearing into medical, or 2 guys actually in this case, because we have 1 KIA, tearing into medical stuff is not, we don't have any immediate cover. So yeah.
Okay. So you call in another fire team. 2 of them take up a security position. The other 2 join you in the truck, getting into it, and you start filling up your bags pretty quick, and you are ready to roll out. You haven't seen any activity. You want to disperse from that location now, I would assume?
Yep. Bounding Overwatch. Bigger fire team covers. Smaller fire team goes up the hill. We'll cover, and the bigger fire team moves up same direction on the hill as well. And then we're just going to Bounding Overwatch all the way back to the base. So yeah, bigger team goes on the other hill. Yep. Covers. Yep.
Okay. You get back and you distribute the medical supplies, and everybody that was in an absolute dire situation is now saved. We can survive another handful of days. However, our water situation is getting pretty bad. And though we have access to this river, what we don't have is enough materials to mass purify water for this entire location. And we were instructed that would be on those FEMA trucks. So do I have another volunteer for the next round?
I want to go, but I just want to clarify one thing.
Yeah.
It's toward Dolphin. So with type 1 diabetes, never give them sugar. It's absolutely not a good idea, because the problem is their sugar is too high in those emergencies. Well, if it's too low, like generally type 1 is like their body doesn't produce insulin, so they're generally just going to be too high, and that's why they take the supplement. I don't know about the scenario, though. I'll let someone else go ahead.
No. Yeah, I was just trying to induce medical emergency, but absolutely thanks for that heads up, because I'm sure I said wrong things.
That's why you always got to get
I did not know.
squad.
Yeah. So would you?
I did not know. Like it was. I thought like with diabetes, like one of them, like you could just give them sugar. Like that's all I know. Like, yeah.
I mean, the safer option is you can. So if someone is having like symptoms like diaphoresis or something, like the safer option is, and you don't know if it's hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia, just give them sugar, because too much won't kill you right away, but too little will. So.
Right. Okay.
Who wants to go next?
I'll always volunteer if we don't have any other options or any other people going for it.
Anybody else? All right.
Are you asking for just one?
Yeah, just one. Anybody?
Yeah, go for it, Perry.
All right, brother. So same situation. You're now down to 14 guys. We'll say that you lost Mr. I'll be nice. You lost Mr. Bolt Action. He's the dude that caught one to the head in the brain dome trying to run across the road. All right, so you now have your 3 4-man fire teams, and that smaller dot is actually just you and an FL guy as like a leadership element that you can move yourself wherever you need to go. So the situation is the same, and the dire situation is that we need water purification. So we have to go return to those trucks to find that water purification.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it kind of those 3 firemen teams, pretty evenly distributed weapon systems. I'm gonna have 2 teams move both kind of the wedge, staggered by 50 or so meters, depending on what the vegetation works with. They're going to go up that north route, so they're going to hit that middle hill with their first kind of phase line, and their second one's going to be that hill that we posted up on the before, with the 3rd fire team going that south route over the hill, and then if it's permissive, trying to get as close to that intersection as possible while we still have some cover and concealment. And I'm going to have those 2 fire teams kind of start bounding or moving tactfully across that open field to that hill again. So kind of before leaving off, the objective is we're going to have 2 teams on that hill directly to the west of the objective. 1 fire team going to come across south and try to set up some support by fire or some sort of 3rd element just at the south of the intersection there. Yeah, kind of in that way. So kind of just forming up in the L shape around the objective. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to, we would head out, start moving. Those 2 hills would be our first phase line. So once everybody checks in, we'll move to the second hill. And that other team will start moving towards the intersection, trying to remain as stealthily as possible.
Something like that.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. And how do you want to do it from here?
So I know that small dot was the leadership element, so I would be with the 2 squads. I know I didn't say that, but as of this point, I'm going to put a overwatch on the hill. I'm going to move up as close to that intersection as possible with that south squad, and then 3rd squad is going to start moving towards the vehicles. So the objective is going to be to cross that road where the vehicles are and get onto that hill.
Gotcha.
So that'll be, kind of moving with the 2 other teams set up as some sort of overwatch.
And you want to be there or here?
I would be with the element staying there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then that team that's moving, they're going to try to cross the road and get to the hill.
Okay.
That's my goal there.
All right. They do so. You're all good. You don't see anything. It seems all quiet. The trucks look like they've been picked through a little bit more, but still majority of the supplies are inside. And you, like as I said, you see no movement at this time.
Okay. So we're going to radio up to our 2 squads that are kind of providing the overwatch. We're going to send as many people as possible from our overwatch team here that I'm with. I would say they're teams of 4, right?
Yep.
So I would send 3 dudes out. I'm staying with 1 guy on the hill, and they're going to start just packing up. I don't know if we've checked, but like, are the vehicles, do they work still? Are they?
Nobody has checked that at all. No, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to tell them, first things first, check if we can get these vehicles working, or if we can even get one of them working. See if anything's working there.
Okay. All right, they push up and they get to that first vehicle cabin and they look inside, and the windshield has some bullet holes through it, and the driver looks like he was executed at close range inside the truck cabin where he is. You drag his body out and you crank it and it turns on.
Okay. So if it's looking like it's turning on, I'm going to have those guys take everything we can from the other 2 and just basically just throw as much shit as we can in this truck as fast as we can. And I'm thinking we basically got 10 minutes of packing as fast as we can right now. Stuff that looks essential first. Water purification was our objective, but then anything that's, food, medicine, any of the other essentials that we'd be kind of needing.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys start going through it, start throwing stuff in the truck. This truck is still idling. This fire team says that they see some slight movement right here at the southernmost edge of this slight hill. They can't even tell what it is. They see a bunch of rustling and stuff, and it seems improbable that it's an animal. Right, like an animal would take off a direction, but there's like a bunch of rustling going down sporadically in one kind of general area.
Yeah. So I'm telling the guys who are working the trucks, it's time to start buttoning it up. We got some company. Those guys are going to provide security while they button everything up, and then the hill team is going to start moving south down the hill to see if they can make a movement to contact on this unknown people.
Okay. They start moving down the hill. These guys are getting in the car. They're in. The car starts to take off. The truck starts to take off. They get south, and these people open up on the truck. But when they do that, this team is immediately able to identify them, and they engage. As well as this team is also able to see them once they open up, so they engage as well.
Okay, so we're telling truck team, drive through the ambush. You guys are just going home. That's your only job. If one of the 2 teams has a better visual, they're going to be the support, and I'm going to run up across the danger zone to the team that's on the hill, and we're going to start picking who's going to be maneuvering on this element here if we can see them.
Okay. You run across this hill. These guys have a really good visual on them. These guys are mostly shooting at like impact zones and muzzle flashes, but these guys have a slightly elevated position and they can clearly see where they're at. The enemy takes a KIA. You see that it was a 5-man, now it is a 4-man element.
Okay, so we're radioing to the south team. Just fix them in place, mad minute, shoot what you got. North team, we're going to maneuver down south with our visual and just violence of action. Once we get within a couple meters of this enemy team, we're going to yell for the shift fire to the southeast, and we're going to assault through this objective.
Okay. And you do so, and you destroy the enemy. Once you destroy him, what actions do you want to take?
So we're going to bring our EPW guys up. We're going to check these guys real quick. I'm always kind of in the mindset of this is take no prisoners because we're short on everything as it is. So we're going to attack through basically executing everybody, checking their gear, checking their intels, and just 2 minutes on the objective before we're out of here.
Okay. Yep. So you get up there, you check him. They're all wearing standard camouflage. They all appear Oriental in descent, and they have a bunch of paperwork and maps on them with Mandarin writing. You take their weapons, take their frags, take their writing, their maps and stuff, even though you can't read any of it, and you begin to return to base. Is there any particular manner that you'd like to do that?
Yeah. So we are going to, I think, beat feet to the south of the road and just crest that hill. We're moving as 2 teams. Just we got about 50 meter spacing because it's pretty open through there. I'm thinking just like a wedge, but
Sure.
Just basically running at this point.
Okay. To running to that location, truck gets all the way home. They report back. Truck's back. It's good. It had the materials we needed in it, and that's going great. And then you guys made it to here. How would you just patrol on back, or you got anything special for me?
I'm going to sit one team. I'm going to leave like a 3 squared away men with a radio just to be an LPOP for a little bit. Everybody else is going to patrol back to the base. We're going to see if anybody comes for those dead guys or anybody comes for that. And then I would say give it till nightfall. Then I'm bringing those guys back.
Okay. Yeah, I think you crushed it on that one, bro. I wanted to lay some hate on you, but I was really unable to.
Thank you.
Yeah, you set it up real good here, right? You had somebody cover this intersection. You had the fires up here, so pretty much no matter what I did, and then especially when you were like, I'm going to push this team down to close on them, I was like, yeah, dude, there's no way that feasibly I could, mass any sort of casualty event on you or whatever. So that was really
it's
good.
Always just kind of violence of action, when in doubt, attack through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kind of that generic infantry mindset, though.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah, you crushed it. So that one didn't last too long, but I thought those are the 2 scenarios I had in my head for today. Really good. Appreciate the talk in the beginning. I'm not in a rush, so if anybody has anything else they'd like to talk about or ask or whatever, we can definitely chat for a while.
Yeah, do this more. I like this.
Yes, sir. Every Thursday starting at 8 p.m. Central Time.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I know you had been posting something up on Thursdays. I'm like, I'm way too busy majority of the time. I'm surprised I'm actually sitting down doing nothing, but I'm glad I chimed in on this because this was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. I love them.
I'm really excited about the kind of field manual prospect as well. I like that educational stuff. I like the community stuff. So that's the big drive here.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to get on that. Sit down and do some typing.
Yo, I got a crazy suggestion.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't know if anybody else wanted to speak or say something, but I got a crazy suggestion. Right? I've been trying to hook up with some people to train with or whatever. I'm finally gonna meet one person or 2 people on Saturday. I'm driving to I don't know I don't know where all of you guys are at, but
You're live on YouTube.
Huh?
You're live on YouTube,
You're live
just
on
so you
YouTube
know.
right now. Yeah.
Oh, I'm live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never mind. My bad, dog.
No, you're good.
On the live.
Yeah. If anybody that's watching, my Discord's free. I have a channel in there all about everybody posting where they're at. I'm in Central Texas, and I'm looking to do the same thing. So yeah, I fully support that, bro. Absolutely.
Hey, no. Let's say some people flew from another state to another to I don't know, do an event or meeting, whatever. I think that'd be cool. I don't know, just throwing that out.
Yeah, the biggest limitation in Texas, which is where I'm at, is we have a lack of publicly accessible land that you can do stuff on. And I'm not rich, so I don't own like a 100-acre plot of ranch or anything like that. But in theory, yeah, that would be super awesome. I myself would love to find a plot of land that I can start LARPing on with some dudes and then open that up to as many people that would want to come out. But yeah, I'm all about it. It's hopefully I can figure it out eventually.
Yeah, I got you.
Got about 2,000 square feet of Middle Tennessee. It's a little backyard. Like there.
I've got a tactics question. All right. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on potentially sending out 2-man teams to recon the objective before moving the full unit out? I was considering the trade-offs because it costs more time, but it is a lower signature movement. So I was wondering what you think about that, GWOT.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head, right? It's all a matter of what you think, right? I probably lost contact with the driver, didn't show up. That indicates that there was some sort of a problem. I think as long as we're not about to die this morning, which we weren't when I gave the scenario, I think it's probably valid to push out a recon team 100%.
Solid. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Like the Army doctrine too would be to set up like the patrol base, and then you go on your leader recon. You take like your leader and the RTO, and maybe like one other squared away dude to kind of look around too.
Yep, absolutely. The scenario, the bad guy scenario that I was gonna try to do was basically, I wanted to have just like local riffraff gangs try to like loot from it or pose a problem to you guys. If you just ran up to it, you guys would have met at the same time. And then we had a sleeper cell that were actually the people that executed the truck driver, but they set up a trap, right? So they killed these trucks and left them there on the side of the road to observe. And I was either going to try to ambush you guys if you ran up to the trucks too quick with them, or follow you back to your base and then attack the neighborhood if you gave me that opportunity. But you guys did pretty good. You didn't give me any opportunity to really lay the hate on you like I was hoping to.
Yeah, I've got that in my notepad. I thought it was interesting that the truck was sitting there, all golden like the idol in Indiana Jones.
yeah. Come and get it, boys.
Carrot on the stick there, and walk into an ambush. I don't know. But
absolutely.
I was considering, like, I don't know if it was booby trapped or something.
Absolutely, those are also things to think about. Absolutely.
Yeah, very much.
I was gonna say,
it looks too easy. It's 100% a trap.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like at the start, like I really didn't know like what we were going up against in terms of like the elements that like was cited. So like I don't know if it's a good thing to do in like a militia context, but like I sent the leadership element up there specifically so that we'd have some fire, and we'd know what we're dealing with. But I don't know if that's like a good thing to do though.
Yeah, you conducted like your own version of a leader's recon. Like an extended leader's recon, right? Instead of doing like pushing out a greater patrol to get closer and then push out a leader's recon once you're within like 500 meters of the objective or whatever, you just sent those leadership element all out on their own, which is if you have manpower limitations, which we absolutely do, and considering like no one talked about it, but like this is your local area, right? Those 3 dudes probably know like this is where they hunt, this is where they fish, this is where they so yeah, I think that's probably pretty feasible to send 3 dudes that fucking know their shit good and have been stomping around these grounds for, a decade or whatever. Probably pretty likely they can get in and out and not get seen and not get lost and have a pretty good idea of what's going on when they get there.
A good point. Comes up in one of the videos I've seen from Victoria's dad. He was talking about, or the video against how to defeat an infantry squad. He's mentioning that a lot of conventional forces, they often over-rely on the indigenous people or their intelligence.
Absolutely. That's military doctrine 101. Find somebody in the area that's your friend and then have them show you around everywhere.
Yeah.
I thought Barry's like setting up like an overwatch on the truck site, like in an L shape. Like I thought that was just awesome, man. Like I never thought about that. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was golden, dude.
Yeah, I know with the Army, we call it Battle Drill 1 Alpha, and it's basically always just one, you always just make basically an L, and you, one team just lays hate, and one team moves and kills, and then you kind of make like a square.
Yep, it allows you to deconflict fires so you can both shoot. It allows one team to remain to become that support by fire and stay in position, and the other team maneuver. And when you get that 90 degree, right, you can creep all the way up. Here, let me try to show you like this. Right, if you're at 90 degrees from each other, then I can march up like this, and you can shoot here and then shoot there and then shoot there and shift your fires all the way as I move across the battlefield. But if we start closer to each other like this, and this is the objective, and you start shooting that, well, pretty soon you're going to have to stop shooting because you're close to me, and then I still have to cover all that ground with no suppression from the support by fire. And then
you kind of went over that in your deliberate attacks video, didn't you?
Absolutely. I've gone over that concept a couple times in several of my videos. It's like the fundamental principles of modern maneuver warfare. And then the third thing that 90-degree L-shaped fires do is they eliminate the ability of your enemy to use cover. You can always get behind something, but it's rare that something is going to protect you from both the front and one or both sides. So if you're getting shot at from one direction, so you hide behind something, now you start getting shot at from your side, there's basically nothing around you that you can hide behind to actually totally protect you from the fires you're receiving.
Nice.
I have a good question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, communication. So, let me adjust the scenario because I'm very curious about this.
Yeah,
so,
please.
I know. I've seen a bunch of people, let's say in Ukraine, they will get like cheap radios and Baofangs to like talk to each other, but somebody keys the fucking mic. Next, there's an artillery strike on top of their head, right? Because they're not exactly encrypted or safe. But that a Baofeng is very, like say, the average civilian here in the States, that's something they can afford, and majority of the time that's what people will say, hey, you need a Baofeng, you need a Baofeng, whatever, all this stuff. So let's say all of a sudden we are, let's say some militiamen or whatever state you're in, they're dealing with an outside force, and the outside force are able to chime in, locate us with, like say, because let's say we do have Baofangs, let's say at a certain range, it can't hear what we're saying, but if we try to get close to like them, they are going to be able to pick us up to either do drone strikes, artillery, or something. Like we're just trying to defend our state, or right. So what ways of communications can, like, if I have one team that, okay, we're going to assault this place, we are suppressing with one group, and then another group we are trying to move and maneuver. How are we going to be able to communicate with each other if our radios are basically useless at that point? I know I've heard some people see like, hey, like little small colored flags, I don't know, sign language, hand movement, like, and then also you have to cover a wide distance because you never know where you're going to end up moving to. The situation is going to dictate that. So what are some good ways to be able to communicate with your team with no radios in that scenario?
Yeah, okay, several points. First of all, it doesn't matter how quality your radio is or whether it's encrypted as far as location detecting. If you're putting out a radio signal, that means you put out a radio signal. Even if you've encrypted it so I can't tell what it is, I can tell that there was a signal that came out from that spot. So as far as direction finding, even encryption and stuff doesn't work. What you have to do is bounce your signal using directional, directional, like Yagi antennas and stuff. So you instead of putting out an omni circle, you spit it a specific direction, and you can bounce those off each other to try and make it really difficult for somebody to identify exactly where it's coming from. That's like a whole nother topic in and of itself. I just wanted to clarify. It's not necessarily that because Baofangs are cheap that they're deadly, first of all. So if you have an expensive radio, all this stuff still applies.
Yeah.
Secondly, to kind of directly answer your question, you don't want to use things that are producing signals in a fixed location, right? So if I'm a Russian or a Ukrainian and I dug a trench and my job is to sit in it for the next month, I don't want to put out a bunch of radio signals because eventually at some point somebody's going to hear one of them, and I'm not going to leave that spot. And then tomorrow they're just going to mortar it or arty it or whatever, and then I'm dead.
Yeah.
But on an attack when we've already gone loud, there's guns being shot. It's not a secret that we're here, and I'm not staying here long term. Even if I am going to stay here for like a day or something, I'm not. It's like setting up a fortress here. It doesn't really matter. I can shout. I'm literally shooting my gun. I can shout from the rooftops. I can fucking set up Wi-Fi. I can talk on my Baofeng. I can send text messages. It doesn't fucking matter. The cat's out of the bag. We're doing the big gunfight right here, right now. Check it out, everybody.
Yeah.
And then, what matters is knowing your enemy, right? So if you do have an enemy that does have capabilities to bomb you or send reinforcements or artillery or whatever the case is, then once you go loud, whether that's gunshots or radios, hey, we can't be here long. We can only be here for an hour. We can only be here for 30 minutes. We can only whatever. And, the greater area that we exist in, we can only be here for so long. And you just have to integrate that into all of your planning. Third point, no matter how good or bad your radio or lack thereof communication is, you always want to have a visual indicator of signals, right? So your primary plan could be radios. Like you want to have a primary, secondary, and a tertiary plan of radio communication. Then separate from that, you want to have a primary, secondary, and tertiary plan of visual communication. Hey, I'm going to do a chem light buzzsaw as my primary. If you can't see that, I'm going to shoot a flare into the sky. If you can't see that, I'm going to throw a bunch of colored smoke grenades. Right. And then even failing all of that, when I have another video talking about planning and controlling, specifically my controlling the chaos of combat video, when you're planning and developing your attack plan or your operation orders and all that, you want to stick to commander's intent, in order to, and conditions set, right? Conditions set let us know it's time to go from one thing to the next. So even if in my plan, right, I know support by fire is going to load, then assault's going to stage, then support by fire is going to open up, then assault is going to depart from their assault position and begin to assault. So even if we completely lose signal once we detach from each other, the support by fire will just give what they believe to be an adequate amount of time for the assault to be in the staging position. Then they'll begin to suppress. Once they're actively suppressing, assault knows, hey, I can go ahead and launch my assault now because I have suppression. They don't even necessarily have to communicate with each other because they know, once this thing happens, it's time for the next thing. Once that thing happens, that means it's time for the next thing. So, repeating myself, but even if the communication plan goes down, we're not left, up a river without a paddle. We're able to proceed forward just based off how the battle's developing on the battle space.
Okay, gotcha. I understand. So basically, before you do anything, always pre-plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's the other part where standard operating procedures are important too, because shit's going to happen on the fly that you're not able to stop and replan and tell everybody. So you need to have like plays, right? Like, whether it's like, I think basketball is probably good for this because it's more fluid than football, but basketball will have plays that they can call. Obviously it's a continual fluid game. We're going to have to adjust on the fly, but they can be like, hey, let's kind of try to do this thing. Hey, now let's kind of try to do this thing. So it's important to have SOPs, right? Establish the ORP if something fucks up on the attack. If you see any red pyro, red smoke, red flare, whatever, that means abort mission, return to ORP. And that's just like a pre-baked standard for every operation you do. So at any point, anybody ever sees red pyro go in the air, they know it's time to fucking empty a mag and run to the ORP. Or whatever the case is, right? You can come up with a million different scenarios to set up a standard operating procedure, but that's why those are valuable as well.
Okay, gotcha. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, brother.
But you put up a video called Tactical Control Measures about a week ago. It's pretty good on that topic, I think. Because if you can pre-establish some, like he's saying, red smoke for this, and it's huge if radios go down or whatnot. When shit hits the fan, you got plans for when things fail.
What was the name of the video? Control what?
Tactical Control Measures, I think.
Tactical Control Measures is the name of the video. That's right. And I need to make a video on visual comm plan.
I think that's funny with the visual comm plan too, right? So like when we were set in place or whatever, I would just flash like the inside of my patrol cap, and it would be bright pink. So you wouldn't have to use a radio. You wouldn't have to do nothing. You would just see like, you know, this funky pink out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Yeah, and also Perry used phase lines during the game, which is huge.
Absolutely.
You don't even have to tell people to do stuff. They know the tactical control measures, and they're ready to rock when lead starts flying.
Absolutely. All right, boys. Anybody else got anything else?
Wow, this is
Actually,
great.
I do have a question here.
Yeah, let's hear it.
There was a nighttime scenario. So the nighttime, like 4-man element that was looting the trucks, and then you detected it from your night vision and then your thermal. How much night vision capability do you need in your squad to like engage? Because we didn't engage, we just detected them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like a million variables, but I'm not going to try to cop out on you. So first of all, the exact like terrain and weather and night conditions are going to dictate, right? There's some nights that it's pitch black and I can hardly see my hand in front of my face. And there's other nights and places and terrains that I basically can see for 50 or 100 yards almost just as good as day with my natural eyesight. So that alone will dictate a bunch. The next thing that I'll say is, do they even have the ability to aim? Even if they can't necessarily see the target, can they aim their gun at night, right? Straight iron sights are pretty much useless at night because there's no glow or light indicator. Same thing for etched reticles that are non-illuminated. So old Bubba hunting scopes or cheaper variants of LPVOs and stuff like that are basically, you can't aim your gun at all at night. So there's levels to this. Even if you just have a red dot or any sort of illuminated reticle and there's some moon that's out, once, let me kind of backtrack. If one person has NVGs in whatever size element, even if it's a whole squad of like 12 or 13 dudes, if one guy has NVGs or thermals and they can say, everybody stop, I see somebody, get ready, I'm about to shoot him on my mark. And everybody else on the squad has illuminated optics and there's some level of illumination out at night, which typically there is, right? Then that one person that actually can see can start making precision shots. And based off where his rounds are going and probably the enemy is then going to return fire. Now I can see their muzzle flashes and I have an illuminated reticle so I can aim my reticle at where that muzzle flash just was. And, am I hitting people in their tee box? Absolutely not. Am I suppressing the enemy in the general area? 100% I am. So anybody that you want to be able to take actual aim shots is going to need some sort of night vision or thermal. But if you at least have an illuminated reticle and it's not like the worst night conditions ever, you can probably participate in the night fighting.
Once the guy with night vision lets loose, can't everyone just light it up with white light anyways, though?
It just depends, right? White light isn't even viable at a lot of distances that happen in combat, right? I know we have like all these turbos and shit that supposedly can go out 200 or 300 yards, but I feel like the cost of your whole squad, turning on spotlights is worse than you now being able to see rough silhouettes 200 yards down the range. White lights, to me, in my opinion, are really like, they're a close combat thing. Like, I'm assaulting the position, I'm coming up on it, I'm like closing with this corner, this doorway, this shrub, this trench door, whatever the case is. I don't have any time to fuck around with anything. I'm going to stack a bunch of white light on it. And if I see anything that looks wrong, it's catching 5 rounds right away.
Right.
That's what white light's for. Not like I'm out patrolling somewhere and, hey, I heard something 100 yards over there. Definitely not using my white light on it. I'm probably just stopping, slowly crouching down and trying to observe it with my eyes or whatever night optic I have to try and get a better. But even if I don't have a night optic, I'm probably just I'm going to stop fucking moving and hope they didn't see me or hear me. And then I'm going to try and see and hear them, hopefully continue to move, is realistically what I'm going to do, even if I have the world's greatest white light on my gun.
Right.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll find quick in reality, yourself not getting shot becomes like one of the top priorities. anything you do that increases your likelihood to get shot, you're going to not be super hyped on doing that.
See, I thought the opposite. So, like with night vision, with thermal, you seen that video of the guy in Afghanistan? He wipes the whole squad with a thermal scope. It was an Afghan military base, I think, Afghan National Army. And I just thought, like, hey, if I have night vision capability or any thermal capability, I would probably feel so much more confident. I mean, in this case, it's like a regular military, but
Sure.
against militia groups, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big deal, right? Like I've done plenty of training in real world operation where everybody in the world had night vision, and then none of the bad guys did. So we could put IR tape over everything and use strobes, and like as far as we're concerned, everybody's lit up like our own little glow dot, and we all know where everything's at, and these motherfuckers can't even see us. That's definitely a huge advantage. It's kind of hard. I sound like I'm contradicting myself, right? But night vision, you can see in the dark. You can see more in the dark than you can with your naked eyes. You can see further in the dark. You can see into darkness that you normally couldn't. But it's far from like, I have night vision, so now it's like daytime at night to me. That's also definitely not true. And there's a big difference between like one or two guys in your squad have night vision and everybody has night vision. Yeah, if everybody starts having night vision and you don't think the enemy does, or you find out that they don't, then that is, you can start doing some pretty ballsy stuff on them, right? Like in that scenario, if we all had night vision, then we could split, and I can be confident that I can send a maneuver team down to get a closer look at that looting squad or fire team, and I'm going to be able to distinguish who everybody is, not lose visual contact of anybody, because all of my guys have night optics, as opposed to if just one or two of them do, then that makes maneuvering under night more difficult.
What would you recommend if theoretically you did end up in a gunfight with low light conditions and none of these gadgets? Like
nothing at all,
every
right?
Every time you fire, there's a muzzle flash, and the enemy knows where you are, and also your natural night vision is fucked.
Yeah,
and you have a harder time seeing. It seems like at all costs, do not fire your weapon unless you absolutely have to.
Yes, and night fighting is typically not super effective, right? So, like in the era before night vision, a lot of times people would just do like repositioning of troops at night. They would do sabotages at night. They would get into position to conduct raids or ambushes at night, and then once the daylight broke, and everybody's like trying to get their morning coffee and still waking up in their sleeping bags, that's when you conduct the ambush or the raid. Or they full on assault, right, where the actual casualty creating gunshots are happening at inside 50 yards, where it doesn't really matter how dark it is, like you can see each other as long as it's not pitch black inside of a building. Running up on the enemy and catching them in their sleeping quarters and stuff like that. But yeah, there's not a lot of large sustained gunfighting going on at night prior to the advent of night optics, because it's like you're just shooting into the dark, like both of you. You're just wasting ammunition.
Right. That reminds me of like around the time when Texans was defending near the Alamo. I don't know where in Texas this was, but the Mexicans had, I think it was Cinco de Mayo or something, some Mexican holiday they were celebrating, and they drank, had their tacos and all that shit, and then they took a nap, and they did like fucking recon and blew up all their cannons.
Yep.
While they were all napping.
Yeah.
I remember learning about that.
Dude, Americans, man. Attacking them on Christmas Eve, attacking them while
they're
Hey, GWOT, kind of a vague question, but I noticed you're a dog lover. You have quite a few. In any shit hit the fan, so to speak, situation, could you ever think of any tactical or viable use of your dogs? Not saying like a dog with a high level of training, but your dogs. Like, what would you expect from your dogs aside from maybe just barking when there's a strange odor on your street or something? Like,
sure.
Is that even in your mind as like a possibility or in your toolkit at all?
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason that I have a great love for dogs is they're just inherently super useful. They're highly utilitarian.
Yeah.
Right. So my dogs are all decent. Like, they're not super extra well behaved, but I can take them off leash. They're not going to run away. They'll all come back to me when I call them. They know their basic commands and all that. But yeah, they're definitely not military dogs or anything of the sort. Not even hunting dogs. They're just house pets. And I would trust them to defend the house just like I do now, which would be nice for the times that I'm not home. I would know there's a whole pack of decently sized dogs back at home that aren't going to just lay down and get belly rubs if somebody kicks in the door. My two of the 4 dogs are kind of natural hunters. So though I live in the suburbs and don't do a bunch of hunting, they, I think, would absolutely be useful if I had to start coming up with my own food. Even if nothing else, like rutting out stuff so that it has to out of the hole so it's running and I can shoot it, or identifying, sniffing it out and stuff like that. They just do that shit naturally. A lot of dogs do.
Yeah, you hear mine in the background. Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good, brother. And yeah, even like right now, nowadays, if there's such a bump in the night that I actually walk out of my house to go see what's going on in the front or the back or the sides of the house, I'll usually leave my 2 female dogs inside. They're naturally more protective if females tend to be, and I'll take my 2 male dogs with me. They're naturally more adventurous and curious, as male dogs tend to be. So, while I'm not in the house, there's still 2 large dogs that are in there. And if I come across something, not only do you have me and my gun, but you have 2 gung-ho pups nipping at your heels and stuff to deal with. So it's quite a force multiplier, I think, for me when I'm by myself to have something, even if it just ends up being a distraction or something. So yeah, I mean, not huge. I wouldn't take them. They're not well behaved or trained enough for me to integrate them in any sort of like offensive maneuvers. Like if I thought I was going to go somewhere else and get in a gunfight, I wouldn't take them with me. But I do think just by them being what they are, just being dogs that aren't Chihuahuas, they have lots of, inherent usefulness for sure. I know you're busy, bro, so you can't respond, but yeah, that's all I had for you.
I don't know how much longer you want to stick around, but that made me think of something else.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Question. Yeah, like on a typical raid, you said something about distraction, and it made me think about this scenario we played that these guys played. With a doctrinal raid, like with a conventional force, normally they know where the hostiles are, they know where they're camping out, and they know how many there are, and they've got a plan for when to hit them, and they can overwhelm them with fires and force and get in there quick, grab their crap, and get out. And then you also mentioned that sometimes there's reinforcements nearby, and they got to be really fast and deliberate or most of the time, they got to be fast and get in there and get the intel and get out. And I was thinking about maybe a situation like this where there are reinforcements, but it might be really difficult for our friendly forces to overwhelm an objective. So is it at all viable to set up a diversion? And how do I do that without getting my boys killed? Because if I want to send a fire team off to the south side to create a little noise and start a problem, maybe draw some forces, the other way, and then have my boys run in and get the objective, like, is that a viable tactic or is that complete fantasy?
No, I think that's absolutely viable. It's not something the modern U.S. military does a bunch of. So that's probably why it's not in the forefront of my mind. But yeah, I think that's absolutely viable. There's lots of historical references, stuff like that. I think you would want those individuals to be like scout type individuals, right? You want them to not have a bunch of weight on them, be able to move fast and know the area well so that they can move through it quickly and not get lost, right? Or even if it's a new area, you want them to be dudes that understand land nav, naturally have good sense of direction, right? Scouts. That would be a job that you would put your scouts on, because your scouts typically aren't going to be like really involved in a lot of the assaulting force anyways. So yeah, you absolutely employ them to create a distraction and divert the enemy. That could be a great way to draw the attention and fire of the enemy and allow you to do whatever you need to do, especially for like a raid, or like if we wanted to just get in here and grab a truck and haul ass out of there. That could have been absolutely a plan of attack. Cool. Yeah, I mean, you are risking, right? all of this is risky. You know, you're saying, hey, go get all of their attention, but you're hoping that they're skilled enough in maneuver that they're able to maneuver themselves out of it. Ultimately, is what you're doing.
Yeah, and I figure there's a big gamble with the engagement distance. Like, if you're too far away, they're not going to pursue. It's like, it's fucking harassing fire. Forget these guys.
Yep.
Then they go back to whatever, cooking their marshmallows. But then, if you're too close, then they can easily get overwhelmed. And now all of your scouts that you sent out to distract them are dead.
Yep.
And the mission's probably over.
And this is a game that even like the Taliban, in my experiences, the Taliban would play on us in Afghanistan, right? They would want to get the squad of whoever to go down the path that they had IED'd or they had set up with a Dishka on the mountaintop in a beaten kill zone or whatever. So they would send a couple dudes to shoot at you and run, and they would know that the U.S. military doctrine, especially the Marine Corps, is to rapidly pursue, just like Perry was doing today. Crushed it. But yeah, you know, so you gotta be ready to fucking chase him down, and that is the right answer. But you also have to be aware enough, not just a barbarian, to be like, hey, I think these two dudes are actually running away like on purpose, not out of fear. They seem like they're like planned to run down this way.
I think that's a good point too, of like kind of knowing your enemy. If you kind of know like their discipline level, or like, hey, are they gonna leave dudes back? Are they gonna, you know, like the mindless zombie just charge you? That's
absolutely.
Kind of if you've interacted with these dudes before too, you kind of learn that.
I released a video recently on planning combat operations, and that's in DRAW-D is an acronym, right? You look at your enemy's likelihood to defend, reinforce, delay, whatever. There's like 5 different options. What'd you have for me, brother?
What I was gonna say is like it's almost like we shouldn't put out our military doctrine on public display, but at the same time, if it's on public display, we can actually learn it and apply it. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But then again, you know, if you constantly are shooting people left and right, you're kind of gonna figure out how they work regardless. So
that's the ultimate answer, is that you trying to keep this stuff secret is futile, because you're going to have to employ it, and by nature of employing it, you're going to tell everybody what you're doing. So there's really no keeping the cat in the bag.
We have 20 years of GoPro footage of the U.S. military fighting wars too, so it's out there.
Yeah, imagine 20 years from now, people going on TikTok reviewing all the footage from Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that there's like a secret sauce out there that we haven't seen yet. I mean, maybe there is something that the U.S. is thinking of for a large-scale conflict, but like you said, cat's out of the bag. It's kind of a day one surprise and a day two planned around.
And also we're at a technological pinnacle of warfare. There's a whole theoretical discussion I'm opening up here, but that's fine. Right. We figured out closed cartridge, smokeless gunpowder. We're at the top of it. Like, I hate to be the guy that's like, it sounds like I just love 5.56 because that's what the Marine Corps gave me or whatever. But like, there's a reason that we went to 5.56 in 1960 and never fucking went back. There's a reason that everybody else in the whole world made their version of 5.56 or just adopted ours. And prior to that, basically like every decade, every 10 to 20 years, there was like massive innovations in the weapons space. And then as soon as we created the AR-15 and the intermediate cartridge, it ended. Since then, there's basically been no innovation in the weapon systems themselves and only innovation in accessories. Lights have gotten better, lasers have gotten better, optics have gotten better, batteries have gotten better. We've found, more ergonomic grips and this and that. We've fine-tuned this or the other, but the gun and the round is the same because it's the best available with the current technology we have. Until we invent plasma rifles, it's not getting better. And then because this is the pinnacle of the technology we have, and we've been using this for 60 years now, we've ironed out the best tactics for these weapons. This is the best weapons available. These are the best tactics available with these weapons. It's not a fucking secret. Until something new happens, there's not going to just be like, oh, we didn't know you could just use, like, no, we've already thought of it, already ironed it out. Here it is. I hate to sound like I'm not open to new information because I always am, but I really, I'm a broken record. But until there's a new technology that comes out that changes the game has been fucking figured out.
Yeah. The 6 beer
Are you still recording?
Yeah, I'm still live and everything, brother.
Okay. All right.
We out here.
He's like, I won't say that.
yeah. Never mind then. All right. Anybody else got anything for me? All right. I appreciate you guys.
This was a good one.
Yeah, this was fucking killer. You guys were awesome. You guys did great on the game. I love all the discussions before and after. These just keep getting better and better every week. So I appreciate you guys for coming out. See y'all same place, same time next week.
Damn right. Thanks again, GWOT.
Later, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.